It's Alyssa Corum and Justin Nielsen here with a look at the stock market today. And on today's show, we're going to be taking a look at the charts of Amazon and Netflix. So sold off pretty big during the correction, now potentially buyable.
Right, yeah, absolutely. So yeah, let's take a look at them. Big caps were, I mean, those at least, you know, maybe it's back to FANG stocks for a little bit.
Exactly. So let's take a look at the major indexes. We did have the Nasdaq finishing slightly higher, less than 0.1% though, reversing and holding on to a little bit of a gain right
Just
there
a little
at the
bit,
end,
yeah.
while the Dow finished down about 0.6% and the S&P 500 finished down 0.3%. So let's put this in the context of the action that we saw yesterday as well.
Okay, so yesterday we were kind of talking about how it ended up in the lower part of the range. Basically, you know, a very small gain, and it was closing at the bottom and volume increased. So that's what we consider stalling. Now, today, just like yesterday, we had a 0.7% gain intraday, but we couldn't hold on to it. The only thing that I can say positive in this case is we did close in the upper half of the range.
That's
just barely.
Right. All right. Well, glass half full then,
right,
I suppose.
Exactly.
So then also we want to take a look at how Amazon and Netflix, their gains impacted the close today and impact what we see broadly. And we have a chart here.
Yeah, so one of the things you have to understand is that the Nasdaq Composite is a market-weighted index. And so certain components will get a heavier weight. Microsoft, Apple, Amazon. So Amazon, you can see on this chart, has a 6.2% weighting. So Amazon was up today, and so it has a bigger influence on the Nasdaq Composite's gain. Netflix, the other one that we're going to be talking about today, is a little bit lower. That's a 1.1% weighting, but it had a pretty big gain, and that can make a big difference for the overall gain on the index.
Always good to put that in context. And taking a little closer look at Amazon today, finishing up 2% in slightly above average volume. A resistance level for Amazon had been this 200-day line, and we now finally in recent sessions saw Amazon climb above that, and now it's extending its gains. So when we talk about stocks that we want to buy, we always look for stocks that are forming base patterns, and maybe at first glance this one doesn't quite look, you know, it's not breaking out to new highs or anything, but tell us a little bit about this chart pattern.
Yeah, so there is still a base, you know, and so if you look at this, you can see that there was a flat base, and for a flat base you just need 5 weeks. And one of the things that we're always looking for before we can identify a base is that there's a prior uptrend. And from the lows that we saw on Amazon, we did have a 30% prior uptrend before that flat base. So 1736.51 was the buy point that we were using, adding 10 cents to the previous high. And we did cross that a couple days ago. Volume was a little lackluster when it did so. And then yesterday it kind of reversed off of its highs. But today it was looking a lot stronger, and it did get back above those highs from yesterday.
That's right, and shares are now just about 12% below their highs reached last September after correcting as much as 36%. So we've seen the stock come well off of the lows here. But when you put this in the context of what we're seeing broadly with this uptrend that we've seen this year, what are some of the things that we're going to need to be watching with Amazon in the sessions to come?
Well, can it continue? Can it follow up on these gains? Right now it is still in that 5% buy range. We always try and stick within that 5% buy zone. We don't want to get too far beyond that, because then you have a greater likelihood of getting caught in a pullback. So the big thing is, can it follow up on these gains?
All right, well, we'll keep an eye on that. And Netflix, a positive session here, finishing the day up 4.6%, breaking out of a shorter consolidation here. So this may be a good opportunity for short-term investors.
Yeah, there's really not a base here that we can point to. I mean, if you look at the overall structure, you might say double bottom, but that second leg is really deep. And in fact, the whole base structure was down more than 45%. That's a lot deeper than we like to see. And so if we could pull up the chart of Netflix, and people can see that what we're really focusing on here is just this latest area that we saw in the last few weeks, the last month, and that shorter consolidation kind of offered us this area where it broke out above.
And I think this is still Amazon.
That is Amazon. So yeah, we need Netflix. But one of the things that both of them kind of did was they were hugging their lines.
Yeah.
They were hugging their moving average lines. So both of them kind of really right there at their 200-day moving average lines. So when Netflix here broke above that 371 area, that's where we were really looking at this one in terms of possibly making a move. And after the Fed meeting today, right around 11 o'clock Pacific, 2 o'clock Eastern time, that's when Netflix really started to move, and you could see it on the intraday chart. Volume started really coming in. So one of the things you might look at on this chart is if you look at the volume, you're like, it's not even above average. But if you compare it, actually, it did.
It finished right at the end.
It did finish right at
We've
average.
been watching it and watching it, and it finished slightly above average.
Yeah, so it just finished slightly above average, but
well above that consolidation.
Exactly. Yeah. You look at the volume for the past month, and so when you're looking at a short-term trade, sometimes you don't have to necessarily be looking at the 50-day moving average. You can be looking at what has it been doing in the last few weeks, what has it been doing in the last month, or however long that consolidation has lasted.
That's right. Well, interesting action here for both Netflix and Amazon, so we'll be keeping track of those. And if you are on Leaderboard or Swing Trader, even more details there for both of these names.
Absolutely.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope you check out investors.com for all the latest stock news and analysis. And make sure you're following us across social media from Instagram. I don't know why I said that one first, but Instagram. We're not live on Instagram, but we are live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. And we will see you right back here tomorrow.